who's watching. I like this.
All right, I'm going to call this meeting of the Salem City Council, Urban Renewal and Housing Authority Boards and Commissions Appointments Committee meeting to order. Present are Bennett.
Hoy.
Anke.
Okay, and staff to be identified. We're anticipating being joined by Councilor Anderson. We'll announcing when he is able to get on board. What we're going to do is review applications and where we can move people forward, and where we can't, we'll maybe hold back and see if we want to take a second look or wait for applicants. Our first one up is the Budget Committee. This one's pretty straightforward. It's got three folks who requested reappointment. We still haven't got anyone for the Ward 5 partial term. So we'll continue to work on that, see who we can come up with. But Teagan, Chirac, and Milton would like to be reappointed. We all just got done working with them. I thought they all did a good job. I see everybody nodding. Why don't would Councilor Hoy, what would you like to do?
I move reappointment of Paul Teagan, Roz Chirac, and Derek Milton.
Second.
Okay, all
Tom made it.
Yeah.
okay, all in favor? Is that Tom?
Yes.
There he is. Hi, Tom. Tom
Yeah, hi.
Anderson is now with us.
Yep.
Did you get to hear all that, Tom?
Well, no, I didn't, but I heard the motion, Mayor, and I'm in favor of the motion.
Okay, great. Why don't we go ahead then and we'll vote. Bennett, aye.
Aye.
All right.
Hoy, aye. Nanki, aye. Anderson, aye.
Aye,
So
yeah.
that passes. Okay. Community Police Review Board. Councilor Hoy, you had a thought on this one?
Yes, I had communicated with a constituent over the past few days, along with staff who had actually inquired about a vacancy, and our website lists no vacancy. And I was surprised when I was reviewing the packet, I think it was yesterday, to find that we actually do have a vacancy. So we just had an error. I think the appropriate thing to do is to pull this off of our agenda, open it up on our website, open it up for applications, and reconsider it at our next meeting.
Okay, sounds good. Now we do have Ryan McGinty, who is seeking reappointment. Is that correct, Linda?
No, he is currently in the alternate 2 position and has requested to be moved into a regular position.
So he is our current applicant, Ryan McGinty. Is that
He
correct?
has been on the CPRB.
He is
for-
the person eligible to be appointed here.
He is eligible, yes, but we don't have any other
Okay.
applications to consider.
Okay, does that change your attitude, or you want to wait?
No, it doesn't change anything.
Okay.
I would like to wait.
Okay. Anyone have any problems with that? We'll just take that off the agenda, put it on our next meeting agenda. See if we can attract some applicants. Yeah, Tom.
I don't have any problem, but I have a question. Let's
You can
assume we get a candidate that we really like for the position. Will McGinty continue as the alternate?
That, if I may, this is Gretchen, that would be up to you at the next meeting. Pausing this at the moment gives us the opportunity to make sure that the opportunities are being advertised, and then you could consider an adjustment at that time.
So I guess what we would end up being potentially is a vacant position and an alternate position.
Well, I know our current member would at least want to continue in the alternate position.
Yeah, that's what I'm
And then
saying.
you could, yeah.
So he could be moved up to the regular vacant position, or he could be retained in the alternate this is the guy
Correct.
who wants to continue to serve.
Correct, exactly.
Yeah, so I just assume have somebody who hasn't malperformed and wants to continue be there, but I don't know.
Certainly.
Chris may have a good candidate in mind, and we may want to look at it, said we think the other candidate's great for the alternative position or the real position, and leave McGinty in the alternative position.
Certainly, yeah.
My
That
goal
would
is
be up
just
to you
that
next
everybody
meeting.
get, I'm sorry, my goal is just that everybody get equal consideration. I
Yeah,
don't have an agenda on who is appointed. I just want to I want it to be advertised fairly. People have an opportunity to apply, and we have an opportunity to consider whoever applies. That's all I want.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Yeah, I think that's really good, particularly given the situation right now. I think that's just really wise. So thank you, Counselor.
Yep.
Unless there's objection, we'll move that on to the next agenda. Okay, Downtown Advisory Board. We have Jordan Truitt and Charles Weathers. I would move appointing Charles Weathers to that. I'd suggest that Jordan is also applied for the Planning Commission. He would like to be considered for that one, which has an interview process as well. We just move these forward to council. This one is one that we can do directly. Mr. Weathers has expressed real interest in this. He's talked with staff. I mean, there's some real interest, and Jordan's indicated he's a lot more interested in Planning Commission than Downtown Advisory Board. Yes.
This is just a personal question. Is Jordan Truitt related to the Truitt fruit family?
Yeah, he's one of the brothers.
Okay, that's what I thought. I wasn't sure.
Yeah,
I mean, that's an unusual name. So obviously he has a pretty severe interest in the downtown area where the
His
plant is.
interest is the Planning Commission.
Yeah, I understand that. I
Yeah.
guess my point is if he were to not make the planning commission, could we then appoint him to one of the other, there's two openings here.
No, I don't know.
Cherie confirmed for me that both of the current applicants, Jordan and Charles, are eligible, or
For
they
both.
fit the
Okay,
criteria
okay,
for
okay.
either.
For either job? Okay.
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with an interview, putting him in an interview for the planning commission. It's just that here's a guy who obviously wants to serve and he's got, a vested interest in that area if he doesn't make planning commission.
Okay, then are you all okay with appointing Mr. Weathers, and we'll leave the other one open for right now? Is that okay, everybody?
Yeah.
Okay,
Which one are you thinking there?
Weathers will appoint. Don't care.
They're,
Pick one.
okay.
If they're eligible for both, don't care. Okay. The Cultural Tourism Promotion Advisory Board. We have two reappointments, Laura Tesler and Rita Song. And then Philippe Gonzalez is interested in the opening. I've met with Philippe. He's a young man. He's kind of a manager and director of marketing out at LifeSource. He's just real interested in getting involved. And I thought he really a personable young man, very bright. I thought he sounded like a real good guy. So I encouraged him to apply, and he did, which always catches you off guard. So here he is. So I just suggest we appoint him to the Cultural and Tourism Promotion Advisory Board for a full term, and then reappoint Laura Tesler and Rita Song. So
Great.
we okay?
Yeah.
Y'all okay?
Yeah.
Great, it's unanimous then. Hospital Facility Advisory Board. We've got the reappointment request from Michael Compton and Steve Hunter. We still have a vacancy. John Latimer had indicated an interest, but then withdrew his name, and I can't recall, he had a conflict of some kind developed. So we still have an opening there. This is that group we hear about every year or so. They come in with a bond proposal from the hospital.
Yeah.
It's sort of, it's our committee, but
We don't do anything.
not much.
I get my
Millions
question.
of dollars.
Yeah. My question, Mr. Mayor, is if we reappoint these two, Mr. Compton and Mr. Hunters, do they have a quorum? So they will be filling two of those three open positions. So that'll give them a quorum. Is that correct?
They'll be fine. They'll be able
Okay,
to conduct business.
Okay,
And we'll continue to look for, and you all may want to think about, we have 3 full-term vacancies available.
Yeah.
So there's I don't know, I'm sort of, and Linda has been busy bugging the powers that be as to, don't you have somebody in your hospital world or some other world that we don't know about? But gosh, if any of you guys have any thoughts, if you could have them apply, it is literally I think it's a twice a year meeting over at the hospital. It's a 7 a.m. with a horrible breakfast.
Mr. Mayor, I don't know, but would it be
Yep, I used to be
appropriate
on it.
to appoint a doctor to that group? I mean, I know a couple of doctors who might, that's not any kind of conflict of interest or anything.
I don't know, Dan is online and he could probably respond to that question best.
I doubt it. You know, the hospital, sorry, this is Dan Atchison, Hospital Facility Authority Board does approve bonds for Salem Health. And so there might be some sort of potential conflict there. My understanding, I heard from someone that they have another candidate in mind, at least one more. And I'm not sure from this paper here whether they have 3 total vacancies and these reappointments will fill 2 of those, or do they have 3 more vacancies they need to fill?
Yeah, there's 3
That
besides
was
the
what I had
reappointment.
heard.
Wow.
We'll double check, but the understanding was they had 3 vacancies. So we'll find out, Dan.
Yeah, if you look at the sheet, it shows 3 vacancies with Compton and Hunter.
Reappointed.
But I did speak to someone who works with the hospital, and they told me they did have another candidate. They probably just didn't have time to get that ready. But even then, there would be 2 more. So
If Dan, if you don't think there's a conflict of interest, I'm happy to speak to a couple doctors I know who might, who might be willing to do that.
The other is if you know somebody out at Capitol Manor or in that world, that might be another interesting place to look as well. They benefit.
to respond to Councilor Anderson's question, they should check with the OGEC, the Oregon Government Ethics Commission.
Okay.
My guess is there's a potential conflict, but they could probably continue to serve.
Okay. All right. That's what I thought too. And Dan, my limited understanding of conflicts is if you have a conflict, you declare it and get permission, and then you can go ahead and do it.
Unless it's an actual conflict, in which case you can't participate.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks.
All righty. So we're okay with Michael Compton, Steve Hunter. Any problems? All righty. That's unanimous. We'll move through on that. Parks and Recreation Board. We have 2 applicants. Keith Norris from the Wildlife Society and Burnell Judy, retired part-time office assistant.
Mr. Norris has excellent qualifications.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good mix. This is kind of funny, but he said he grew up in a town in Illinois and he went to Purdue University. It was pretty clear. I grew up in a town of Illinois. I went to University of Illinois. So I just called him up and I didn't get him, but then he said he had his partner who was, one of his references. So I called up his partner, and I don't know how much of a partner he is because he's in Michigan right now and he's probably moving out here. And this guy got the job out here and moved out here. He's real eager. And I think it seems to me that this is the kind of expertise we need on the board.
Sounds good. This will be our second Ward 8 representative.
Yeah,
Doesn't hurt anything.
no.
Okay, is everybody okay with Mr. Norris?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, we'll appoint him unanimously. Planning Commission.
I had a question on this one,
Yes.
and that's regarding the qualifications. We can have no more than 2 voting members engaged in principally buying, selling, or developing real estate for profit. I know we have 1 member currently on the commission, at least as I review it. If we were to appoint consider Mr. Truitt, that would make 2. And then Dan Augustin, I'm not sure if I wasn't clear. but I looked at his job as the same. So doesn't seem like,
Yeah.
I'm just worried that we're not overstepping on that one requirement.
It's been a problem with this commission before where, you know, you can sort of say, well, they're not related, but when you kind of stop and look at it, it's everybody's in the kind of the same business and it all has to do with land development. So
Right, like we have
being careful is good.
and a person already on it who is acquisition and pre-construction property project manager, which to me sounds like a person principally engaged in buying or selling and developing real estate. So I almost think we already have our limit on that. So I don't know.
Dan, what do you think?
I'd like to see Ms. Schweikart's resume or her previous application to know more about her actual job duties. But I think there's a good point there that certainly Mr. Levine and Schweikart might already fill those two real estate positions.
Yeah. Could we go ahead with Jordan and bring him to council or just wait on both?
We have to wait on both, I think, because
Yeah.
we already we're at our limit, and he certainly is over the limit.
Yeah.
Jordan would be.
Well, and,
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I also think my recollection of Ashley Swigert was that she was involved in low-income housing sort of stuff, obtaining grants and things. I don't know that she's actually involved in the development. So I think it's good, Dan, if you kind of see that.
I'd be happy to send her application right after the meeting so you
Okay.
can all review it and think about it. And this term that we're talking about is expiring at the end of this year. So it would be a fairly potentially quick turnaround anyway. So to hold off for a little longer, I suppose, you're not looking at a long period of time where.
Well, I would say, assuming that Ashley Swigert does not, come under the category that we're concerned about, seems to me we ought to bring both these candidates to the council, because then there's one position in their area open.
Agreed.
Do we have any members of the public that are in the meeting right now?
We're live on YouTube.
Okay, well, just the reason I ask is I could, if I can get that resume, again, this is Dan, the city attorney, I can take a quick look at it and give you a call right now so you can maybe move forward appropriately.
We'll get that right off to you. Thank you, Dan. I'll just set this one aside for a minute. Okay. Public Art Commission.
Wait. Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I looked at these and I really appreciate the fact that we want to, it's good to have artists on this, but then I look at this, we've got lots of artists
Yeah.
that are on it now. So I kind of like the fact that we might have an architect on it.
Yeah, definitely.
And also it's an architect who says he's had some education or training as an artist.
Yeah, I know there's real interest in seeing Mr. Emmerich on the commission. I think he was pretty actively recruited over the years to get him involved in this. So
And he has a BFA, so that's a Bachelor in Fine Arts. So
My question is, our vacancy in this position is for a person experienced in landscape architecture, real estate development, or community foundation. All those other things are irrelevant.
yeah.
well,
Does he have
Dan's
that?
not here, but I would guess that an architect might be experienced in real estate development. That would be my guess. I could be
Well,
wrong.
and project manager, he certainly is involved in development. So I'd be fine with Spencer Emmerich. I think he would add a different perspective to that board, but
I don't know him and don't have an opinion on him personally in any way.
no, I know.
I'm just worried about our category.
Well, do we want to leave that to the city attorney too? Who's gone now?
I'm still with you,
Oh. Okay.
Counselor. But I was looking at other things. So what's the question?
The question is, does Spencer Emmerich meet the qualification for the vacancy on the Salem Public Art Commission that requires for this vacancy a person experienced in landscape architecture, real estate development, or community foundation?
We're not clear from the information if the architecture is specific to landscape.
That's the conclusion I drew when I was reviewing it as well. It's like, I don't have enough information here to see that he fits either way or not.
I would agree with Councilor Hoy. There's not enough information here to say, yeah, on any of the categories, other than volunteering for various associations.
Set it aside for today and gather that information.
Yeah.
I think we have to.
Okay,
Is this for planning commission
No,
stuff?
sir.
we're on staff.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, we'll set that one aside.
okay.
Now you're at library.
Library Board, Lois Stark and Francine Belusa are both seeking reappointment.
Sounds good.
Okay, everybody okay?
Yep.
All righty.
We still have a vacancy even with that, correct?
Yes.
What did we decide on the planning commission?
Dan's reviewing it.
He's still reviewing it?
Yeah, he'll get back to us during the meeting.
Okay. West Salem Redevelopment Advisory Board.
And we had an email with an additional,
Yes.
Yes.
So what we have is Mark May and Jeff Miller requesting reappointment. And then we have one full-time position expiring for a resident. And we have Tyler Jackson, and is Craig Evans applying
That was my understanding as
As
of
what?
yesterday.
as what?
He has offices located in the West Salem Business District. So
Well, that doesn't
that would
fit.
probably be,
Does he live there? Does he live in West Salem?
he is a non-resident, but he lives in the West Salem area, it appears.
He's a non-resident of Salem.
Well, his address is Salem, but he must live in Polk County.
Okay, well, we have Tyler Jackson, who is a resident of West Salem and he has Jackson Jewelers downtown, but he would fit the resident of West Salem urban renewal area requirement, right?
Resident in the West Salem neighborhood, yes.
Not neighborhood, urban
No.
renewal area. It's
No,
rules.
there's two, that's third bullet. 2 full-term positions for a resident living within the West Salem Neighborhood Association boundaries, which is all of West Salem, basically.
right.
And that's what Tori told me,
That's what
the
he's after.
category
Okay.
is what Tori said he would fit under, yes.
Okay, great.
Well, I have to say that I have spoken with some staff members, and on the basis of that input and on the basis of Mr. Evans's appearance before the council and what he's done in various positions on the West Side neighborhood, the West Salem neighborhood, I am not going to vote for him.
Will you vote for Tyler Jackson? He's
God, I'll
really the
vote
one
for
in
Tyler.
front of us.
Yeah, I think we all agreed Tyler would be terrific.
Are you okay with that?
I'm
Brad,
agree
you
with Tyler
okay?
Jackson, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, Tyler Jackson will be appointed to the West Salem Development Advisory Board.
And then the two.
And we will proceed, is that correct? Mark May and Jeff Miller for the 2 reappointments.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, great. We're done with that.
Mr. Mayor, I can speak to the planning commission issue.
Yeah, please, thank you.
So the Salem Revised Code, Chapter 6, limits the planning commission to 2 or fewer members that are principally engaged in buying, selling, or developing real estate for profit. Ms. Schweikert worked for a nonprofit affordable housing developer, so she would not qualify for this 2-member prohibition. So you have 1 member, Mr. Levine, and you could appoint 1 more that would meet that condition.
Okay, I would suggest either appoint Jordan Pruitt and recommend it to council, or have Jordan come talk to council.
Well, there's a second applicant. It seems to me we got to interview them both.
You could.
So that's what I would prefer, to interview both of them. Planning Commission is a big enough job that almost all the time we interview them.
All righty, so we'll interview Jordan Truitt and Dan Augustine when?
As soon as possible.
Okay,
Yeah,
as soon as possible.
I'll work on getting that set up.
Okay, great. And the Salem Housing Advisory Committee. We've got, these are all vacancies, right?
Those are the vacancies at the top, yes, and we have 2 applications. The first one would fit into the real estate vacancy, which expires at the end of this year. The second one, as an attorney, I was a little confused about where she would necessarily be plugged in, given the vacancies currently.
But I think she's an attorney
Available.
with seniors and people with disabilities.
So the social service agency,
That's what I believed, but I don't know.
She's also a candidate for Marion County Commission, correct?
I believe so.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought that she might also fit under the social service agency. She works for the state as an ombudsman, and I don't know how, but I also agree with,
Long-term care.
pardon me?
It says
Brad?
long-term care, so social service
Yeah.
may very well.
I also will tell you that I called her this morning because she is a candidate for county commissioner. And
yeah, is she still interested?
She wasn't able to call me back. I
Oh,
just said,
okay.
hey, you're running for this. You got 2 things. We got a meeting, are you still interested? I mean, clearly she's a county commissioner. I don't think we could end up appointing her, but if she doesn't become a county commissioner, and this is,
Good.
yeah, we could. So we just haven't heard from her.
And I've worked with Ashley in my professional capacity on the Governor's Reentry Council for a number of years. I know her. I think she'd be a great fit.
Well, why don't we go ahead and appoint both of them? They each have their separate.
Mhm.
And if Ashley decides she doesn't want to do it, she'll let us know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
But she sounds really well qualified. Okay, is that okay with everybody?
Yep.
Okay. That is,
That's basically it. I was out of the room for the Public Art Commission conversation. I understand we're gonna hold it.
Yeah, Linda, you might have some more information. We didn't know if the candidate named Spencer Emmerich's architecture background is specific to landscape.
My understanding is that he was recruited by a member of SPAC to apply for this position specifically. So I believe so, but I couldn't say unequivocally.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. It says Gretchen Stone explained the board was looking for someone with an architect background. It just doesn't modify landscape. And so we weren't
Okay.
certain if it met the specific criteria for this board or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think we also had a question about whether as a project manager and an architect, he might also be involved in a real estate development. I mean, that's what architects and project managers
Right.
do. So he
Right.
might fit under that category.
Oh.
So, Mr. Mayor, if I can,
yep,
Salem Revised Code, Chapter 15 talks about a person who has a experience in architecture or landscape architecture. I'm not sure if there's already an architecture member on the commission, but
that's
according to the code, it's either or.
Well, there you go
Okay.
then. Then maybe you're okay.
You want to go ahead and appoint Mr. Emmerich, or do you want to wait?
We have Christine Darcy already in the experienced in landscape architecture, real estate development. Or I don't know if we're limited to one.
2 members, Councilor Roy.
Okay, let's do it then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody okay?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, we'll appoint. I think the board will be happy to hear this.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, I think that gets us through everything. The one we have left really is for the public session with the council for the planning commission, the 2 planning commission guys.
Yep.
And then I will have reports with your recommendations that come out of this meeting. My plan is to have them on the June 22nd council agenda, just so you know.
Great.
Hey, everybody okay?
Yep.
Okay, then if there is an objection, we're adjourned. Thank you.
You.
Okay, great, thanks. Bye.
Thank you.